you're listening into the planning board tonight? Very good. So we'll start by taking a look at the agenda. And Gino, I can share my screen, or would you rather share yours?
You can do it.
Are we expecting Addie Mae tonight, or is she not joining tonight?
As far as I know, we're expecting her. Shall we? I'll pull up the agenda and let's just see if she shows up. Okay, I think we got it here. There we go. Okay. We can give her another minute. Actually, it's only 7:02. You get a minute per kid. So she's used up.
That's excellent.
But anyway, I know she's got a lot going on. So I think we can go through the agenda anyway. We don't need Addie Mae to do that. So it is July 6th. And I'm calling the planning board meeting to order at 7:02. And Addie Mae will join us when she can. So I'll start by going through the agenda, and start time is a little bit late, but not too bad. So let me just move my screen. Sorry, there we go. Are there any items that should be discussed tonight that were not anticipated and that are not in the agenda? Hearing none, let's go ahead then. We'll do minutes. We do have a set of minutes to review. Then at 7:30, we have a hearing for 11 Farm Road, a scenic road hearing, continued from June 15th. The current planning board business, we have updates on ongoing and potential development projects. We will say something about Meadowbrook Commons and Coolidge Crossing, and perhaps the Pine Residences in Apple Hill, if there's anything new there. And then the next item is reorganization of the board and discussion of the transition.
Allie, what do you have?
Oh, here's Addie Mae coming up. Discussion of the transition, as I'm transitioning to this select board and John is transitioning to out of town, sadly. So there will be two vacancies coming up, and as I will stay on the board until my position is filled. But in the meantime, we can talk about the leadership, the chairmanship. Come back to that. Other business? Any citizen comments? Reports on meeting with other boards, and then the town planner report. So let's get started with the minutes.
Marion, I'm sorry to interrupt. We have a couple of people who don't typically join planning board meetings, so it might be worth going over the protocols for virtual questions and comments now that we're virtual again.
Thanks. Good point. I'm so used to Zoom, I forget to do that.
This is our first meeting since meeting in face-to-face.
That's right. It was nice while it lasted. One meeting we had face-to-face. So now we're back on Zoom with the thunderstorms out there. It's probably just as well. So yeah, the protocol is that if anyone wants to speak, you can raise your real hand, raise your virtual hand through the reactions, and staff or anyone else, if you see a hand up and I haven't seen it, especially when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see everyone. Please let me know that someone would like to speak. We generally have not been using the chat room for these meetings. They're not big, and it works better actually if you have a comment. to share your comment with the whole board because we want to hear your comments or questions as we go along. So feel free to jump in and ask a question or make a comment.
The chat room is not recorded in the minutes.
Good to know. So yeah, best not use the chat room unless you have something private to say to someone. Okay, what am I forgetting? Is there anyone here who's not familiar with Zoom? I think from the people I can see, I believe Zach is our only guest at this point. Zach, are you comfortable with Zoom? Have you used it before?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm on Zoom quite a bit these days.
Okay, great. As are most of us. Great. Okay, great. So that's it. Let's.
Marion, I just wanted to make you aware. I don't know if you can see the whole attendee list, but we also have Rob Wolf, Sean Colleen, and Courtney Eck on as well.
Oh, thank you. No, I cannot see them. Thank you very much. So welcome all. And I know you all know how to use it. So use Zoom. Okay. Let's take a look at the minutes from the last meeting. I can pull them up, but if there are no comments at all from the board, they've been sent to all of you in a revised form. If there are no comments or additions, we can simply approve them. Can I hear from the board if you have any comments on the minutes from the last meeting?
I had a couple of, one, I was very pleased to find a spelling error.
Oh, no.
Um,
I will pull them up.
So the spelling error was on the last page, page 4. Town planner report, Gino Carlucci gave his town planner report, comma, including this misspelling.
Okay, great. I had to stop share for just a second. Get out of the agenda. Oops, sorry. Get into the right file. Sorry, guys.
When you're ready, I have a small change.
Okay. No. Sorry, guys. I should.
Zach could help us.
My whole desktop. Yeah, Zach, it's usually better than this. Hang in there, everybody. Okay, here we are. John, you had a comment first. Or
I had one very minor thing and then two sort of, I think also minor things. One was simply spelling, and the fine tradition of Eric Johnson, I'll point out a spelling error. On the last page, or second to last page, page 4, the paragraph that begins with town planner report, Gino Carlucci gave us the town planner report, comma, including was misspelled. And this may be the difference in the version that I'm looking at versus.
I have pulled up the version that I have, and it's the version with my already corrections.
Okay, so it looks like including is still misspelled in your version.
The I was in the wrong place, so just put the I before the NG.
I'm trying to find the place.
Oh, right next to your cursor, just to the left of your cursor.
So town
Yeah.
planner report is bold. And
Oh, I
then,
see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
so that may be my last valuable, input to a planning board meeting, but I have a couple other comments.
Including, oh, I see. No, okay. All right.
Yeah, and then in the previous, I'm working backwards, in the previous page, page 3, reports on meetings with other boards, down at the bottom. I just thought it would be a little bit more clear. The last sentence on that page says, John Higley stated he has, and I think it should read, submitted a draft for consideration by the Traffic Safety Committee. They still haven't had a chance to get on there.
It's probably on your next page, Marion, since you have edits that might be taking up space.
Oh, I
Oh,
see.
there it is.
Right.
Yep,
Oh,
there it is.
okay. Okay, great. John Higley stated,
So
say it again.
It's okay, but I think it's more precise to, or more, they haven't deliberated on it, on this master plan implementation table.
Oh, okay.
It's been
So-
submitted, so I just thought it should read that I don't want to take credit for doing it because all I did was draft something and submit it for them to consider.
Oh, okay. So what would you like it to say exactly?
So state that he has submitted a draft for consideration by the Traffic Safety Committee. Yeah. Okay, and then actually just maybe 3 paragraphs above that, in the section talking about the public hearing, just speak it in terms of the minutes, not to deliberate, because that starts at 7:30, continues. So in that paragraph that begins, there was some discussion about the merits of a grass strip. The last sentence I thought might read more accurately. Ms. Neutra noted there is also a requirement for the property owner to obtain a permit for alteration of the stone wall for the purposes of widening, or just alteration of the stone wall is all it's prior to the work, to doing the work.
No, wait, hold on, because I think the point of that statement was not really part of the scenic road hearing, but to do work in the town right of way requires a permit from DPW, and I think that's what this refers to.
Okay, then I didn't, there's a requirement for the property owner to, I understand what you're saying, I just make sure I read it correctly then.
All right, to obtain a street opening permit prior to doing the work.
Okay, yeah, okay, so I thank you, Gina, I agree with Gina's comments, so no, I have no other edits.
Okay, Addie Mae, do you have,
And I think it's pretty quick, but it's underneath the other town boards in regards to when I was talking about Leland. Under current planning board business, I just wanted to clarify the role that the town hired Liz Rust in.
report on meetings from other boards? I'm not sure where you are.
Current planning board business. It was we did the A&R,
That
and then
is,
after the A&R was the current planning board business. I'm looking at it on my phone, so I don't have page numbers.
oh,
right
here we
there.
are. Okay.
Yep.
Current board business.
So the it says town hired Liz Rush as agent to represent Sherborn for affordable housing lottery. 2 years ago, that's not true. So
Yeah, I questioned that too, but I didn't know what was the case.
so it's I think everybody was confused, but she was hired. I'm trying to think of the right phrasing, and I don't have the actual contract in front of me, but it was an hour. She was hired to be a consultant as issues came up with units regarding the affordable housing status. I guess they're probably, I don't know, Gina, what's a good phrasing for what she was hired as? It was like not to exceed 20 hours or something of kind of a contract that would let her be a consultant on questions that as they came up with certain with residents and their affordable status. I guess a consultant.
Yeah, I think that would do it, just as it was hired as a consultant to assist the town with affordable housing issues regarding Leland Farms.
Yes. What has since happened is further discussion has been had, and she, not as an individual, but with, she'll be part of a group that the town is hiring, but that's separate. That's separate. We basically, what is correct to say is she, I guess at the time of this meeting, we didn't know that she also could be hired to help assist with running the lottery. So I think maybe you could say
You could assume a similar
assistance
role.
will be needed, separate assistance will be needed for running the lottery, maybe.
A separate, say that again.
If you just change that last sentence and just say separate assistance will be needed for running the lottery. Just keep it simple. Because since that time, we've learned that she can be part of that process, but it's a separate contract and it's a separate with some other people involved. So, but and you can delete the she could assume a similar role in this case because it's just make it two separate statements and start with separate capitalized.
Oh, yeah, let me just.
Just keep it real simple right now because the time we did not know.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, any other changes?
Marion, I just wanted to let you know, since you can't watch the attendance, that Paul Finger has joined us as well.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Paul. Good. So can I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I
Motion to
move to, oh, go ahead, Addie Mae.
go ahead, Chris. You're on.
I move to approve the planning board minutes of June 15th, 2021 as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Chris,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Addie,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So the minutes are done. Okay, back to the agenda. I've got to share my screen again. Sorry, folks, this is so unwieldy. I think I'll do a total share screen because this is going to take forever. And you have to look at my messy desktop. Where am I? Okay. Okay, so back to the agenda. Here we are. Okay, we have 10 minutes before the hearing. We can start on current planning board business. Gino forwarded a letter to us this afternoon from the Charles River Watershed Association regarding the two 40B projects on Coolidge Street, Meadowbrook Commons and Coolidge Crossing. There are several issues brought up in that letter concerning the the lack of environmental optimization of both of those developments, especially the tremendous increase in impervious surface, which I guess is about 10 acres of impervious surface for both, and other features that don't maximize water recharge or water filtering. So, Gino, would you like to tell us a little bit more about where to go from here? The 40B projects we assumed were outside of Concom, mostly outside of Concom and Planning Board and Board of Health purview. So the hearings with the ZBA have gone on largely without a lot of input or changes that might have been made. And yet now the Charles River Watershed Association is pointing out a lot of defects in the design, like too big a footprint and inadequate water recharge features. In the 40B process, this is a question for all of you really. How much leeway do we or the Charles River Watershed Association for that point have to change the plan? Chris, go ahead.
You know, when I saw that letter, and I'm trying not to be vulgar. I wasn't pleased. All of the things that were mentioned are things that we've been stamping our feet about forever. And so the state can't have it both ways. We're trying to comply. We're doing everything we can. And everything they wrote in the letter are things that we all know about.
That's right. And things that we have brought up in our letters about those developments.
Yeah. And if we brought up any of those, they'd say, oh, so what? So, I don't know. It was an irritating thing for me to read. So,
John, do you have?
and I don't know how they expect us to respond to it. So.
Well, I can understand Chris's reaction, and I don't disagree, except that I think there has been a lot of input in the process. The zoning board has received input from the planning board and from citizens and other boards and committees as part of the process. They to submit a letter now, after I believe the zoning board has closed the hearing part of the process, I think is a little isn't too bad. If they submitted it during the part of the process where the zoning board was listening to and commenting and that sort of thing, then that might have been received differently, and my reaction might have differed than getting it at this stage. Having said that, though, I think in addition to what Chris has said, and your comment, Marion, I think I always think it's a good way to look at whenever I state a strong opinion or anyone else states a strong opinion. I think it's good to follow it up with compared to what. And in this case, I think the comments about how it might be improved, but the whole project from a larger perspective, I think the whole project is providing a very good environmental alternative to other types of housing development that would increase affordable housing in market rate housing. I think this concept and overall design, I think, is environmentally vastly superior to other types of developments using 40B or others. I think this is, for the number of housing units, this is environmentally a very, it's very much in favor of much more impervious surface and stormwater concerns and recharge and things like that. It's not pulling drinking water out of the groundwater and things like a lot of things that I think it's not. It's relative to. It's not. I think the letter's written without it being compared to alternative types of development, where I think this type is a pretty good one.
I agree with you, John, and also, Gino. Sorry, I'll just say something quick, and then Gino, you're on, and Courtney.
Sure. I can't seem to find my hand raised either for some reason today.
Oh, okay, and I can't see you, so I'm gonna.
There it is. Okay.
Because I can't see anybody until we're ready to go to the next thing. I'm good. There, it's better. Well, the whole. I understand where they're coming from, but the whole thing is a little bit tone deaf. First of all, I mean, they say that couldn't they find another location? Well, in Sherborn, there's probably no other location where this could be done and give us the affordable housing that we need with as little impact as it has. And it's kind of ironic that this development actually is not in the Charles River watershed.
Thank you. Yeah.
You were going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the map.
I mean, the points are still valid, for the Sudbury or the Charles. But who's next? Gino, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna point out that in some fairness to them, they're reacting to the environmental notification form submitted to the state and not the, not this comprehensive permit before ZBA. However, on the other hand, this is still before Conservation Commission, so they do have some opportunity to address some of these issues. That's Coolidge Crossing, and Meadowbrook Commons is about to come before Planning Board, so there will be opportunity for Planning Board to address some of those issues as well.
Right, a major issue is the egress and ingress. They figured that they could save a lot of paving by making a common ingress and egress, but that introduces other problems that we don't need to go into. Courtney.
I think Gino already stole most of my comments.
Sorry, Quinn.
That's fine. I was just gonna let you know that the NOI was submitted. The Conservation Commission couldn't consider it at the same time that ZBA was doing their work because there was some recent court ruling. But, so that anyone is welcome to submit comments or letters about environmental concern to conservation, but our scope is pretty limited. We're limited to jurisdictional area, and we're only reviewing this under the state regulations. No local bylaw can apply. So,
Right.
Do we have any sense of, was anyone, I know that we have been, Gino and I and Tom Trainer have been sitting in on some of these meetings regarding the Charles River watershed project that have been going on. I know that their goal in general is looking at long-term stormwater management and looking at the whole state and thinking about, rising floodwaters and rising seawater, and where can I know, a lot of communities started getting concerned because there was a lot of suggestion of reclaiming properties along rivers and in case of flooding. So, the scope of that whole project is pretty broad. I'm just, again, wondering if we know what was the initiation for this letter. Was it the NOI? Would that have been, I didn't think that would have crossed their.
No, it's the environmental notification form through the MEPA process.
Right, so they got it only fairly recently, is that correct, Gino? Because
Yes.
the whole thing
Because
is
that was only filed recently.
right. So anyway,
Okay.
If there are no more comments on this, maybe you could bring up more comments later, but we should go to the next item on the agenda, which is the hearing on 11 Farm Road. We have Paul Finger and Jack Mula here representing the owners of 11 Farm Road. Welcome to both of you.
Good evening.
I think we, like you, and certainly like the Tufts, are anxious to wrap this up and get a final plan going here. And I think we're close, but it seems like 2 steps forward and 1 step back in this process, because the process is a little bit complicated by the fact that both DPW and Planning Board are involved. And basically, although the Planning Board generally doesn't rule on stone wall removal in the right of way without a previous driveway permit from the DPW. In fact, we have to work together with DPW on this, because what comes first, the stone wall or the driveway? They really have to be considered together. So I think the last time, just to recap for the people who may not remember what happened at our last hearing, we agreed that a driveway permit was required and that you would submit it to Mr. Colleen and we would go from there. So you did submit a driveway permit. Um, And we got a copy of that forwarded to us. So you have done that. And I just want to, Sean, you're here, but I would just like to maybe read your email to me and Gino today to confirm that you don't approve the new driveway, but you understand that the planning board may override your decision just to get the project done, but even so, it has to be done correctly. So John, Sean, can I read your email? Or would you rather summarize what you said yourself since you're here?
Please read it. I don't think my signal's very good. It's a little choppy.
Okay, yeah, I know you're way up north. He's on an island in a lake somewhere in New Hampshire. Okay. He says, please accept this email as my formal denial for the attached driveway permit. I understand the planning board will most likely act on this and other elements during the hearing this evening. It's important to stress that the applicant still needs to submit a plan that conforms to the requirements of the driveway regulations. That same plan could be used to propose the proper repairs to the sidewalk. To date, the plans have failed to properly show the dimensions between the road edge, both edges of the proposed sidewalk, and the wall. This needs to be a plan stamped by an engineer or surveyor that will eventually certify the plot plan, as the wall, both existing and to be replaced, are and were the property boundary. So the crux of what Sean is saying here is that he understands that the planning board will likely override his denial of your driveway permit, but it requires a proper survey. And we have the plan from Mr. Finger's landscape plan, basically, but it's not a survey with the proper dimensions or plot or parcel lines, et cetera, that are required for a driveway permit. So that's kind of where we are now. I mean, I'm glad you submitted it, but it seems to be based on at least a partial survey of the land. Have you used a surveyor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is part of a survey that was done on the property to accurately locate the curb line, the property line, and the stone walls on site. This is the curb is existing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're providing for information. Now, it's true, I don't know whether Mr. Clean is looking for us to generate bearings and distances and everything like that on basically the layout, but there is quite a bit of, first of all, unfortunately, I'm hearing this tonight. We've submitted this some time ago, and we can't help come to a close with this unless we share information together. So, I provided for, as requested at the last meeting, you said we want to see dimensions across the sidewalk from the curb to the stone wall, or where the stone wall would have been. We want to see dimensions of the grass strip periodically. So we went ahead and provided them every 20 feet. You can't get any more, you can't have any more information than that. I mean, it's how many more dimension lines we want to place on it. So we gave you slopes, we gave you dimensions, we gave you everything. Now, I would tend to disagree with Mr. Clean that I am actually authorized under the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a registered landscape architect to dimension a sidewalk and to dimension a construction plan. Now, if you could dig in your heels and you may want to go ahead and have us spend another couple $1,000s more, but the more money that's spent on this, you're not going to get any return on it. So I respectfully disagree with the opinion clearly. And I think that the information that you're looking for is clearly there. The methodology that we're proposing to create the grass strip is there. The last email I got from Mr. Colleen, he wanted us to go ahead and he wanted us to guarantee a 3-foot grass strip, which you can't do unless we put a sliver of asphalt along the landscape area between the back of the sidewalk and the stone wall. And that's just my opinion. And obviously my position is to represent the Tufts and to be able to defend the information that we presented to you. And that's where I'm at.
Sean, did you hear that?
I did.
Can you explain what it is exactly that needs to be added to that plan?
From where I'm sitting, I can't read the regulations, but it needs to, the regulations are pretty specific on what the drawing's supposed to show. And it does need to be a stamped drawing. If he wants to stamp it, he can stamp it. I mean, he's not going to stamp the certified plot plan when the thing goes and gets registered. But that's fine. But to date, he hasn't shown me that he can't give me a 3-foot grass strip. If the wall's 9 feet away from the road, then we can have a 4-foot sidewalk and a 3-foot grass strip. So why wouldn't we do that?
I would be more than happy to share the plans. In fact, there it is.
I'm sharing my screen here.
So I took a dimension 1 foot off the front face of the curb as the saw cut area. Assuming that the asphalt curb is approximately 11 inches, we gave it a little bit more to 12 inches. From there, we provided for a 4-foot sidewalk, so it's 4 feet from the landscaped area near the wall towards the street. What is remaining is the specifics there of 2.4 feet, 2.7 feet, 2.3 feet, 2.5 feet, 4 feet. So the issue here is, sure, we can go ahead and, since we agreed at one of our meetings that there was little or no grass strip that was presently there, this is a major improvement to this area to accomplish what you're doing. And therefore, what we're suggesting is that there has to be some form of compromise on this to be able to accomplish. In order to accomplish what we're asking for, 3 feet, we will have to cut the sidewalk further back from the street and put a 6-inch sliver of asphalt between the sidewalk that's shown here and the stone wall. And in my opinion, I don't think that's proper construction. You're not going to prepare a gravel base that way. And I think it's just going to turn out that it's going to be a nuisance over a period of time. And I don't know whether your suggestion is so replace the entire sidewalk. But that's not a feasible, since the sidewalk meets ADA requirements and you have your 4 feet and you're providing a lot more grass strips. So I would ask that the planning board consider waiving whatever additional information you have. This again clearly shows the width of a grass strip, the width of the sidewalk, and the dimension from the stone wall to the front face of, in fact, the curb. And if, as a condition, if you want me to stamp it, I have a stamped survey. So you have a stamped survey which fixes this in place. I can stamp this plan. And if that's what it will take to conclude this, I would encourage consideration.
Right, thank you. It does look as
Just
if,
for clar,
go
Mrs.
ahead,
Mr.
Sean.
Chair. Just for clarification, you can't waive requirements for the road open permit or the driveway permit. You can just, I mean, you can override the denial of the permit. There's still requirements that need to be met.
I'm not going to
There's
debate
no,
that.
this drawing doesn't put the sidewalk aside because that's not really the planning board's issue right now. This driveway plan doesn't dictate what, I don't even see a width of the driveway. There's dimensions for the drive, like this plan doesn't work for a driveway plan. It's focused on the sidewalk, but there's a driveway over there that there's a permit that's applied for. I would never approve a driveway plan like that. It doesn't even have any dimensions on it.
Well, I have to agree with Mr. Colleen there. I mean, to me, I'd like to hear from the other planning board members, but the dimensions here seem to be, you can add these up and get the distance from the road to the stone wall. That looks to me reasonable. But I was also looking for the dimensions of the driveway and didn't find it. Maybe.
So if I stamp the plan and dimension it from the wall to the curb, that will be sufficient.
And include the dimensions of the new driveway.
Include the what? Include the what?
The dimensions of the new driveway, if you can see my cursor.
Yeah, the existing driveway, well, the one that's there now.
Yeah.
So if you wish to condition your approval based on the information that you've requested, I can certainly take care of that and I can have that to you this week.
I would like to condition, well, Sean has not approved the driveway permit. Our planning board plan was to override Sean's disapproval and approve the plan, but with the condition that you show the dimensions of the driveway and that you put whatever dimensions from the street to the stone wall that need to be here to properly delineate the property line, which is the stone wall, because that is important for the future.
Okay, so those are dimensions.
And those, can you add anything to that, Sean? And that the plan be stamped with the surveyor's stamp. If you have that's great. No,
I can stamp it as a registered landscape architect, which the Commonwealth of Massachusetts recognizes my authority to be able to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to hire a surveyor to go ahead and stamp this. I can give you a stamped survey, which we obtained from a registered land surveyor.
How does that sound to you, Sean?
Can you just reference the driveway rules and regulations and say, I'm sitting at a picnic table on Zoom. I'm not going to,
So
just reference the regulations because we're not going to be held to a list right now.
yeah, I mean, I
needs
think
to be held to the
if,
regulations. It's pretty clear what it needs to be. If we're going to waive the fact that it's supposed to be a registered professional engineer or registered land surveyor, fine, but it's specific what needs to be on the driveway permit. We shouldn't be going through this right now.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear on the town website. The form of application requires the site plan, clear, legible, transparent, not to exceed 36 inches, drawn to scale of 1 to 20. We've got a 1 to 10 foot scale here, unless it requires special permission to use 1 to 40, prepared by and showing the seal and signature of a registered professional engineer or registered land surveyor. Locate and scale. A, buildings, all existing proposed, parking areas, type of driveway, parking surface area. I mean, again, it's on the town's website, the driveway regulations. So just, I think at this point, we've beat this horse to death, but in any decision so that we are clear for going forward, we need to decide that we decide that these regulations matter or they don't matter, and they should be at least referenced, that if we say we are approving something to move on, and that we reference the conditions that have been noted or that were omitted, I guess, or the what's missing.
This is Attorney Mueller. I want to add that we're all seeking to find a resolution to this. And certainly we are aware of the driveway regulations. We were aware of the driveway regulations and the application many months ago. However, allow me to say that your town council sent to us a roadmap of how we could resolve this. And it did not include anything involving a driveway application because of the existence of the driveway, the pre-existence of that driveway. And now I realize that my clients had removed portions of the stone wall. They were not to have done so without a permit. You also should realize that we have agreed to install a grass strip where one was not there, although in our first hearing, we were told it was, but clearly the visual evidence proved otherwise. In addition, we were told by Mr. Colleen that he would not approve a driveway permit. Nevertheless, we seemingly had meeting of the minds during our last hearing where we agreed that we would file an application, and we were told to add 3 dimensions to our permit. We did so. Mr. Finger conferred with Mr. Colleen, and I had mailed information to Mr. Colleen, all of which asked if he needed anything else to please let us know. Unfortunately, this is the second instance where we have not been able to have communication from Mr. Colleen. However, he has given you a formal response without addressing my client's application or me as attorney. In addition, Mr. Colleen has discretion in the driveway regulations. It's only if he requires them, and he does have the authority to waive them. And I had thought that perhaps that's what was being done, and that our giving the grass strip and agreeing to put the grass strip in was the departments working together, knowing full well that Mr. Colleen, if he were not to approve of this, then it would be left with the planning board. And I think we were trying to wrap this up. It continues to not only get expensive, but now it seems as if the goalpost is moved, when I believe we all want to try to resolve this so that it's not only safe, but it looks better than it did, all while recognizing that there was a driveway there. And your town council's letter didn't see the need for us to file such driveway application, but nevertheless we did. So I'd ask for the board to exercise whatever discretion it can, so that perhaps tonight can be the last meeting here, while recognizing we're trying to work with you, and I know you're trying to work with us. I just think it's unfair that we're unable to get feedback from the DPW, but you have now on 2 instances, both of which have resulted in additional requests to us, which not only subjects my client to additional expenses, but I think causes all of us to deal with a situation that I all think we probably could have dealt with a little more expeditiously had there been some better communication. So let's be sure of what you're asking of us, and knowing that we are trying to work together so that hopefully we can resolve this at the next meeting, or perhaps with resolving it this evening on some conditions that we go ahead and give you additional information, because I think it's pretty much a fait accompli that Mr. Colleen has no desire to grant us a driveway permit. So if it rests in your hands, I'd ask for whatever discretion you can give us, and let's be clear of what we're asked for, and we'll give you those things for our next meeting, and hopefully we can end this.
Well, Mr. Mullah, thank you for that. I mean, we agree with you that we want to end this and get her done. I mean, it's gone on.
Marion,
way
you got to
too
let me
long.
respond to that.
Uh,
please.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, well, first, I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm hoping this is the last meeting we have on 11th Farm. Everyone understands exactly why I'm denying that permit. It's not so it won't get done. It's because legally I have to deny it. And I take great offense to Attorney Mueller making statements. I'm on my vacation on a Zoom meeting for no purpose other than for this. So please, I'm trying to get this done as well. But, you know, you've had a year to get a driveway permit in, and it came in on the 28th, and there was additional information as I was going on vacation. So the onus is on you guys to get the information right. And my intent is to get the planning board to make a decision tonight. So I take offense to most of what you said. The attorney's letter did not say don't apply for a permit. There was one sentence that was edited out, but my letter has always stated that you needed a permit because there's a second driveway on that property. It was never that I was going to approve it or not. I was always going to deny it, just so you could have this hearing. And the town actually has 30 days to have this hearing, and we're having it tonight on the same day that it's getting denied by me. So we are working with you. But it's been a struggle to get the proper information. And if you add up some of those dimensions, they don't actually work. So we're going to work together to get the sidewalk fixed, but that's independent of the driveway. Those are two different things. But it was all in an effort to get this through this hearing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Sean. And I have to agree with what Sean is saying. You know, we've been clear all along that you need a driveway permit. And the regulations for driveway permits are on the town website. I'm sure you have them. But I just want you to realize that it's not the planning board or the DPW that are trying to hold this up. You know, we just need you to comply with our regulations, including the DPW driveway regulations, and we're really willing to work with you on the scenic road permit, help you get through that, because we're doing a lot of compromising here. So
could I ask a question? So if your DPW director has indicated now for the third time that he will deny the application, but yet you're asking me to submit additional information under the application. So what is the purpose of submitting additional information so that Mr. Colleen can deny the application?
Well, Mr. Mullah, we had no intention of even considering an incomplete application. And we only got the driveway application finally last week, and without a complete plan that even shows the dimensions of the new driveway that you see here on the plan. So really, we are trying to get this done, believe me. And
Marion, I think maybe we've confused him. The item 10 in the regulations lays out an appeals process. My denial is allowing the appeal to be right now. That you're essentially appealing my denial right now. I needed to because I don't have the authority to give a second driveway. So you're appealing it right now.
that's right. And we are.
So
And this is the hearing.
We're appealing it, and we're telling you that we, with the other compromises, the glass strip, and not having to completely restore the stone wall, only part of it, and allowing stone wall to be removed to widen the driveway entrance. That's the compromise that we're willing to make. But
Right.
still, we need a driveway permit. You're appealing it, and we're telling you up front to speed this along that we will consider and approve that appeal, but we still need to have on condition that you do a complete driveway permit. That's all. And this has kind of been the story of this whole project. You know, first we get plans that you can't read, and then we get plans without a driveway permit, which everyone had told you we needed. You assumed we didn't need it. You didn't need it because of the grass strip somehow, but you didn't verify that with planning board or with Mr. Colleen. So I think what we need to do now is just say that we will be willing to consider this appeal favorably, but you do have to have submitted a complete driveway permit. Just, go through the checklist and get it done. Gino, do you have any other?
So to be clear, I have the regulations. So you're requiring me to file where number 3, form of site plan if required. So in addition to what you've asked for last week on the plan, you're asking me to comply, or my clients to comply with all of the format, location, all of the buildings, existing areas, parking, surface area, landscape features, water flow, parking screening, pumps, hydrants, water supply, electric supply, gas supply. You're going to require my client to go ahead and submit all of this information for a pre-existing driveway in order to resolve all of the matters, including the scenic road hearing in the appeal. And that's new. I am confused because we were working together on the width of that driveway, recognizing that plans filed with your town showed the existence of the driveway. Plans that are in file with you and other departments and were also given to your town council. And it did not say do not file a driveway. It said you must file with conservation and you must file with planning board under the Scenic Roads Act. So we have given information, I think, that is exactly what was asked for, but now we're being asked, because it's the first time I'm hearing from Mr. Colleen, that we're being asked to comply with all of the 1A through 12C without anything involving the superintendent at his discretion can waive any of those requirements. He will give us a denial, but he's not willing to waive any of those requirements for the purpose of allowing us to resolve this. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm not trying to be disagreeable in any way. I'm simply reciting what has happened and where we are now in order that we can proceed in the next hearing. But that's, I think, what we're being asked to do. And I'd ask Mr. Colleen to give to me in writing so I know exactly what he's requiring. If he's requiring us to comply with all of those, but yet he's already indicated a denial, then I'd like that denial filed with me and my clients and not just an email to the planning board. Because I don't know where this is going. I am confused at this point.
Well, Sean, can you enumerate which of those requirements you are absolutely going to require in the driveway permit?
Most of those things are already in the survey. That this isn't a onerous list of things. This is required for any driveway. It's sure as heck should be required on a driveway that was paved while a wall was taken down on a scenic road. Of course, we're going to require all this. The fact that anyone would even think that we're going to waive it is ludicrous. Of course, it needs to be a stamp plan.
Mr. Colleen, I take offense to that.
We have to just shut this down a bit now, things cool a little bit. One thing that I think we all agree upon is that we've made it really clear that you need to submit a driveway permit. Not a partial driveway permit, but a complete driveway permit. Even though it's going to be denied and we're going to appeal it, we have to go through those motions in order to comply with the regulations of the town. So whether you need a driveway permit or not is not the question right now. Whether the driveway existed before or not is not the question, because even we don't completely agree on that within the town. So, but we're setting that aside. We're getting around that by having you submit a driveway permit that then can be denied if Mr. Killeen thinks it was not pre-existing, or we can appeal, you can appeal it and the planning board will make a compromise. That's exactly the process that we laid out last time.
Marion, this is John Higley. Given that there is a drawing that was submitted earlier that shows the portion of the wall that was removed, the removed wooden gate, and the dimensions of the existing and the driveway cut in the break in the stone wall where the gate was, and the revised, or the what's now current. We have that drawing that is maybe that can suffice. I wonder if that can suffice for the information, in that both sides of both parties, in this case, the our DPW director and the attorney for the homeowner have both said it would be nice to get this done tonight. So I wonder if a way to get it done tonight is to reference that drawing that was done earlier showing the way the driveway, the way it is now, and also shows what was removed. Reference that along with what we're looking at now as enough information, and that is, I want to distinguish between permit and permit application. We've been using it as the same thing, but we're asking the attorney, the homeowner, to submit a permit application, and then we're all expecting it to be denied. And I sort of think we can say it is now denied if we can reference this other drawing. And then we can proceed with the hearing and get it done tonight.
John, thanks. That was very helpful. I wonder if you're seeing this drawing that I'm showing now on my screen, the drawing with the red where the stone wall was removed. I can
No.
tell whether I'm screen sharing or not. Okay, then I have to make a new share and I will bring it up again.
I also want to say I certainly appreciate Mr. Killeen taking his vacation to, just as he said. I think it's really appreciated, and I appreciate the representatives of the homeowner, the same thing. But yeah, that's the drawing I was referencing. I think if that can be submitted as part of this permit application, then perhaps we can use that in addition to the information that's been that you were showing earlier, the drawing that you were showing earlier, and say it's now denied, and that we understand that it's current, that the permit application is denied, and then this hearing, I don't know the proper, if the procedures allow us to say that we're now in the appeal before the planning board.
Well, it must be the appeal because Sean has denied the permit that, as far as he got it, in writing.
Yeah, the permit application.
The permit application, yes.
Yep. Okay, well, if that's the case, then this is the hearing appeal. And can we then
I know, John, that has the width. And I know earlier you were asking for the dimensions that, Paul, I don't believe they're on there, which would show the depth of the driveway, which is now asphalt. Are you
Uh,
still on, Paul?
Yeah, I'm on.
So they asked for the depth of that also, and I don't think we have that on there. So could we?
We know that the width is, according to that last sketch, 20 feet,
Right, but I'm
right?
asking.
So that was one of the questions that was asked. What's the width of the driveway? In terms of the depth, if you're talking about from the property boundary all the way down to where it hits the grass strip and into the property, no, we don't have that in there.
Okay, could we add that?
Yeah,
I believe that's what you had mentioned previous, Madam Chair, that you want that as a condition.
Yes, that is exactly right. So we are having an appeals hearing now, as John said. Thank you, John, for that. I would say that we can proceed with the appeals hearing. I don't know what you're seeing on your screen now. I'm just going to close my screen shares. And now I see you all again.
Is there anything else that you would like on either of the plans to proceed with the conditional approval?
Well, the conditional approval, we've already agreed, should include the before and after dimensions of the driveway, stone wall that's, well, let's leave the stone wall aside just for now, because we would just want to concentrate on the driveway and the sidewalk. The planning board, I believe, I'm going to propose and hear from the other planning board members. I propose that we accept the plan as it is, but with the conditions, accept the plan that we understand we all want to see, with the conditions that you provide Mr. Colleen with the major points on the regulations for a driveway permit application, so that we then can do a clear appeals, and we would be willing to approve that amended driveway application, the stone wall with the driveway amended application referenced, if you will accept the conditions that Mr. Colleen suggests, that you add the things that are needed for the driveway application.
Well,
And-
I guess if he could delineate what exactly is needed, that would be helpful. I mean, I believe we supplied what we can supply, but apparently he wishes to have more, though he did say that he believes they've all been pretty much given to you. I know he has the authority to waive anything he'd like. And since we're talking about the driveway, an existing driveway, except for the width that was increased by the removal of the scenic wall, I would like to know from Mr. Colleen what exactly it is that he feels he needs in order to deny our permit.
I think he's already denied it.
I think
You're right.
Wait. May I ask a question,
sure.
Marion? What you just said, is that a motion?
I would like to make a motion.
I will accept and second that motion, providing the plan that you're referencing is the one dated June 22nd, 2021, the last thing that was sent out.
Are you referring to the stone wall at this point, Chris? The planning board?
Yes.
Decision? The planning board, I think, is willing to approve the plan with the 7 feet or so stone wall removed for the new driveway. And whatever the dimension is, I don't have it in front of me anymore, of the additional stone wall that needs to be replaced that you already have in your plan. I believe
Correct.
it's about 30 feet of stone wall that needs to be replaced up to the point of the new walkway that goes straight out to the sidewalk that we're going to allow them to keep. So as far as the stone walls go, we will approve the scenic road permit on condition that you provide the features that Mr. Colleen needs to see for the driveway permit. Yes, John.
Yeah, I think that's your motion. But I would sure like, and it's been seconded, I would sure like a discussion before we vote.
Well, good, let's discuss.
Okay. I would like to specify right now what additional information is necessary for us to decide on an appeal. So if we're gonna, if we were for, your motion is to approve the appeal, but we have not specified what additional information that we would approve it conditional on adding some additional information that, and then it gets to be the point of, I think we have to actually right now specify what additional information so that it's really clear, because I don't think my guess is there's not much additional information. It might be one or two things.
This is Zach. I think some context that might help is I think from what I can understand from my novice perspective is that you're denying on a procedural ground right now from a lack of an incomplete application, which is different from a substantive denial. So if you're gonna hear an appeal on the substantive grounds, which is really what I think you're all trying to get to, which is the compliance with the scenic road bylaw, then you need to decide what pieces of information in the regulations around the driveway regulation are necessary for you to make a determination as to whether there's compliance with the scenic road bylaw.
That's very close, Zach. That was very helpful, actually. But we're making a determination on the scenic road bylaw that is dependent on the new driveway being permitted. We cannot do that. Is that correct, John?
I don't think so. I think it's a nice thing and it's a compromise. That's it. I think we're deciding on the scenic road part of it. And it's a nice thing that this other part that's a permit application, that's my view is it's already been denied. So, I mean, we've got a motion and a second and now we're discussing. And I would suggest we vote no on the motion and then go back and try to get this specified. And I think the way Zach phrased it is correct. But I think we need to be really clear. The permit, the driveway permit application has been denied. If we can say that, I mean, it's not our job to say that. But if the director of the DPW says it's denied, then I think we should just move on and decide what conditions do we want to put on our scenic road hearing, period. And
I believe the driveway application having been denied by Sean is now bounced back to us.
Right.
And we can decide whether the driveway application should be approved or not. And
no, we cannot. No, that's not our job. We cannot decide that it has to go back and be approved. We can say we want the same conditions, but kind of hard to do that, I think. But we can't. I don't think we want to do that. Let me put it that way. I think the appeal is to us, and then we can say what we want. And I think we should be very clear and specify what we want for the scenic road hearing.
I agree with that, but if if the scenic road decision is dependent on a driveway permit, then, you know, that's, it
Yeah,
becomes.
okay, I'm starting to disagree with me now, but yeah, to get this resolved tonight, I think, hey, let's make real, before we vote on it, I'd like to be really clear that the application has been denied and that we're now appealing. We're now hearing the appeal, and I think we ought to approve it. And how much, if we approve it, the appeal, I think we should be very, very clear what needs to be added, what information needs to be added. And it doesn't sound like to me all the information that Attorney Moore listed needs to be on there in the appeal.
So I've been writing, obviously, taking notes, and here, I'll turn my video so I can. The only things that keep coming up are the dimensions of the driveway before and after, and I assume that that was the width in the direction of the stone wall, not so much the depth of the driveway apron. And then also the stone wall dimensions. Like if we were to have one plan that is to consider both the driveway that would meet the needs of a driveway permit decision and a driveway permit appeal decision, as well as a stone wall decision. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing, it's as John suggested earlier in this meeting, it would be a combination of the two plans that we've already been screen shared in this meeting. The other things that have come up that Mr. Mueller listed off from the requirements, format, I would say that the format of the plans at 1 to 10 scale actually exceed the 1 to 20 requirements. Location, buildings, parking area, those are all shown on the plan. And then landscape features. And then there's things like water flow and utilities that might be important to shape a new driveway. And maybe it's at the planning board's discretion to determine whether those are important in the decision at this point, where it is in the process. And then the final one would be to stamp the registered professional engineer or land surveyor stamp on the drawings. So the only things that I heard in this conversation without having looked at the regulations is drainage, utilities, and an engineer or a land surveyor stamp. Is
Right.
that
I think
okay?
that's correct. And you know, as I'm hearing all this, I really have to apologize that this has gone on so long, but it is rather convoluted. It seems to me we have two votes to take, two decisions to make. First of all, let's deal with the driveway application appeal. And we can attach conditions to that if we want to override the appeal and approve it with conditions. That done, then maybe we can turn to the stone wall scenic road application, which I think is a much simpler thing. And it seems to me we might be able to get through this morass that way.
So can we then call this to a vote? And I'm going to vote no to the current motion.
Yes, I would have to restate the motion, which I wish I could withdraw at this point. But let's just vote on that motion and put it to bed, and then let's try again. Okay. Chris,
No.
John,
No.
Eddie Mae,
No.
Will,
Nope.
and I deny my own motion as well. Okay. Let's clean the slate and start again. Let's
I
first.
just have one question,
Sure.
and that is, I will place the stamps on it. We'll provide the additional information that you've requested. My only question is when it comes time for drainage, could potentially open up I can show that there is no drainage from the driveway except for the apron that flows into the street, but everything flows into the site. That's simple. We have spot elevations. I could show drainage arrows and everything else like that. So my question is that, will that be sufficient for the planning board?
Well, we can discuss it after I make my next motion.
Okay,
Let's do it that way, just to kind of keep things rolling.
fair enough.
That's okay with you. Okay, my next motion is I move that the planning board approve the driveway permit with the condition that the specific points that are to be added are the following. One is a stamp of an engineer or surveyor or whatever, a state approved stamp.
Including Paul's landscape ability as a professional landscape.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And second, the dimensions of the driveway should be on that same plan, not on some other plan that we had before, but on the same plan. So it's all referenced on one plan. Third, the utilities, I think you already have. The lot lines. And what were the other things, Steph?
It
Water.
was water flow and utilities were the other things that I didn't sort of immediately see. And just to clarify that the stamp of a licensed engineer or land surveyor is not the same as, to my understanding, is not the same as Mr. Finger's stamp, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be accepted by the planning board if that's the planning board's choice.
Right.
Right, okay,
So I just wanted to be clear on what I'm writing down as the condition here.
yeah, thank you. So we can discuss this after I finish my
Okay.
motion, but one of the conditions would be Mr. Finger's stamp. But including the lot lines, the utility lines in the street. And I would not include in the motion that the drainage plan be included in this because I believe they've been through that with Concom already.
Is that your motion, Marion?
That is my motion.
Can I repeat
will-
it just to make sure I've got it
Yes.
before we?
We need to get this list correct.
Yeah,
for-
so Marion moved to approve the driveway permit with the condition that the following specific features be added. One is the stamp of a state licensed professional, including an engineer, a land surveyor, or a landscape architect. Is that the right term, Mr.
Yes.
Finger? Okay.
Yes.
2, the before and after driveway dimensions to be added. 3, I think you said utilities.
Oh, well, there is in the regulations a need for identifying utility lines in the street. I believe that is, but I'm not sure it's relevant in this case.
I agree.
So is that, do you want that to be part of your motion?
Can I have some more feedback on that?
Well, I'll just say something. It's really good to have the discussion before you make the motion.
Yes,
And it's good to, procedurally, it's good, once the motion's made and seconded, it's good to have a final discussion just in case. But we really should have the discussion, like this part of it, before the motion.
okay, I'm gonna withdraw the motion and let's get the list clear.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
So we have the driveway dimensions before and after.
Could I stop you? I'm sorry, but the plans that showed the pre-existing driveway did not show the dimensions on them as those were filed with your DPW as well as the Board of Survey and Planning. They do show the opening and we've detailed the width, but there are no prior plans that give an exact depth, meaning the length from the sidewalk back to the rear end of the property. So whatever we'd be supplying you would be a best guess I can say that obviously the width, because it includes the amount of stone wall that was taken, is easy to provide you with. And the flow that Mr. Finger talked about can be provided, but the actual depth, we can give you what it is now, but it would be a best guess as to what it was, since it was just a grass area that extended all the way back to the property line.
Yeah, that's fair. You would include what it is now. And I don't think we should require an exact dimension prior because it was just grass. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
right, so where
That
were
was
we?
2. You were beginning to talk about utilities. And I believe that was it's under number 8, as to where the water, electric, gas, and septic, but that wasn't something we were concerned about for this. And then I believe John spoke up, so I'll shut up and let you go from there.
Yeah, because
Marion, I don't think we have to be that concerned with underground utilities because they're not digging anything out. Obviously, that was on the list if someone was putting in a driveway. This driveway is already existing. So,
right, okay. And it's understood that this driveway permit includes the, is broader than the usual driveway permit. It includes the sidewalk and the grass strip, all the work done in the right of way. Addie Mae, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just because I'm not really sure at what point to say this. But a thought is it's my understanding is from past planning board applications, we allow one driveway per household as a kind of general. There's some that have been in existence a long time, and that's one perspective, although there have been situations where we've asked households to close off one entrance or a second driveway. In this instance, we're dealing with a 2-family residence. So as a condition, it seems it could be fair to, as from a planning board standpoint, in that we are trying to preserve, this multifamily dwelling is I guess a benefit as far as housing choices from a planning board perspective in the way it's situated. So to preserve it, it would be reasonable to allow this second driveway to remain on condition if the house were to be converted to a single family residence, then one driveway would need to be removed so that it or cease to be used.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
I understand that. I think I disagree with it in that there are lots of cases of existing circular driveways that are 2 cuts in the curb cuts. And we try not to have those on scenic roads. But there are several. And I think once the driveway is allowed, I think we're allowing it. I think it would be, so we because we have circular driveways with 2 curb cuts on scenic roads, we try not to permit them unless there's a safety reason for it. I think in this case, I would say because it was a pre-existing cut, I think I wouldn't say you gotta take away a pre-existing cut.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, it's a good point, Addie Mae, and it's good you mentioned it, but I think that it is a separate issue, really. It's not part of this decision. Sean, do you have something to say at this point?
Well, since that was brought up, that I was going to say that's the only reason I'm denying it. If it was strictly drawings and such, I would have, I'd work with Attorney Mullen and Paul. The purpose of tonight is I have to deny it because of the driveways per lot. I can't allow that. You guys have to allow that. So that's the reason I'm denying it. That's the sole reason I'm denying it.
Oh, thank you. for
so
that.
that you, so
Yeah,
to
yeah.
force it into the appeal so that it's not the DPW director doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
great. I
Great. I
misunderstood that. And thank you for that. That simplifies things considerably because I thought that you needed to have those details in order for us even to consider the appeal. But
Well, I do want those details, but those can be where, I mean, if you want to leave those details out, the purpose of my denial was for, and it's number 7 in the appendix for the driveway regulations. Appendix A says 1 driveway per lot. So I can't, nowhere in town should I be allowing that without planning board approval.
okay, well,
Okay, well,
I understand. So we are considering this appeal favorably because it's an accessory apartment. And we think that an accessory apartment here will work better if they have the driveway. And, you know, if we can go back and forth on whether it existed before or not. I don't think we want to go back there. Does that make sense, Sean?
No, I definitely don't want to go back to.
Okay. Okay, none of us do, none of us do. Okay, so we, from the planning board appeals perspective, are assuming that they are taking the position that the driveway existed before and that they need a permit to show clearly the changes in dimensions. And whatever else needs to be added, I would say the front property line is important because it delineates where that stone wall should be rebuilt. But with those caveats and with those conditions, I would move that well, is there any more discussion before I go to a motion?
So before you go to the motion, Marion, well, Sean still has his hand up. I don't know if that's a legacy, but I just wanted to clarify. So the conditions would be the stamp, the driveway dimensions before and after, but no need for utilities, no need for drainage.
No, that's right.
Thank you.
Are there other conditions that I should be adding to this motion?
Well, I think the current depth was Attorney Mueller presented, so I think I'd include that in the water flow. So those are the only other 2 things, I think.
Okay, and those should be easy to add, the current
Yes.
depth of the existing pavement of the driveway
Yes.
from the street all the way back. All right, so with those conditions attached, I move that we approve this driveway application.
I will second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Chris,
Aye.
Will,
aye.
John,
Aye.
Addie Mae. Oh, Addie, you're muted. I think you said aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So the driveway application is approved with conditions. Good. Now we can move to the stone wall and the scenic road application. I could share my screen again if you like, but I'd rather not take the time. If you recall exactly what we decided on the stone wall, we decided that we would allow the extra 7 feet for the new driveway of wall to be removed, which it has been removed, will not have to be replaced. We are requiring that 30 feet or so, I don't have it in front of me, of the wall that was destroyed be replaced in its former location because we believe that's the historic lot line, at least up to the new walkway that goes straight out to the sidewalk.
I believe we dimensioned it at 28 feet plus or minus.
Okay,
Correct.
that's fine. And a part of the Scenic Road Act requires that stones that were removed and are not reused for the rebuilding be used elsewhere to reinforce stone walls elsewhere. And I know they're used on the property. Ideally, they're used on the roads, scenic walls. But we are willing to not go identifying each individual stone. So basically, the stone wall should be restored to its former appearance, which would fit what you have on the rest of the property. So basically, John.
I think you just said it, but I think so that the portion, the 28 feet more or less, that's replaced, the stone should look similar to the rest of the wall or to what was there before.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's much better said, much clearer.
We can agree to that.
Okay, so that was a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Any more discussion? So let's take a vote. Chris,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Addie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So your scenic road application is approved.
That was easy.
And, you know, I hope you can convey to the Tufts that we were not trying to hold things up. But, you know, it was maybe poor communication all around, but I'm glad we finally got to a resolution.
Well, worked very hard. Thank you for your time, and on behalf of the Tufts, thank you. I know they are new to your town, but they just had that new baby during the pandemic, and I know they wish to continue to raise a family here. So we're very happy with the outcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for your patience,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, so back to the agenda. I think the next thing on our agenda, which I no longer have in front of me, is the discussion of other planning board issues. We talked a little bit about the Coolidge Street developments and the Charles River Watershed Association document. I'm not sure where to go with that. Gino, they did point out that they think the town's stormwater bylaws are not in compliance at this point past June 30th. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. It is in need of updating, and Sean may wish to comment on it as well, because I know the consultant is, the stormwater consultant has made some comments like that as well.
Is it clear what we need to do to get into compliance? I thought that we recently rewrote the stormwater laws in Sherborn to comply with DEP and EPA.
We revised our planning board rules and regulations. We do not revise the bylaw so far.
So that's it. So how do you propose we proceed in getting the bylaw revised? Is it a fairly simple, I mean, obviously we go to town meeting after months and months of work, but is it clear what we need to do?
I think it's fairly clear, yes.
So that's maybe the subject of a future meeting.
Definitely.
Okay, great.
Well, as soon as you get on the select board, you forget everything. That's right. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm gonna forget everything I did on planning board.
So, I mean, I know our consultant is trying to set up, there's requirements for phosphorus reduction workshops, and there's things that are part of this plan, and he's been trying to get some dates. I think July 20th is a date that he's trying to, and we kind of were working on identifying what needs to be done to, it is something that the AECom is working on, the updated permit. Yeah, so
Okay, but this planning board is kind of in charge of stormwater regulations. Is the planning board also in charge of the stormwater bylaw?
It was a planning board bylaw initially, and it's kind of a joint responsibility, because we're in charge, the planning board is in charge of some of the provisions, but as far as the town's stormwater management system, the drainage system, and whether anybody can tie in or anything that affects that system, that's DPW.
Okay, Sean, your hand is up. Can you contribute to this discussion? Oh, your hand disappeared. Okay.
I caught the tail end of it. One of my kids was saying that you guys were saying my name. We had a unicorn floating across the lake, so we had a little emergency. It's a long story, but that's it. I'm not 100% sure everything that was in that letter was totally true as far as the phosphorus reduction plan. We're a pretty unique town because we're not 100% regulated under the MS4 permit, so it's a little complicated. Planning board does need to take an active role in the next year and a half. So you're going to see more invites for meetings and such, and there probably is a couple updates on the bylaws for next town meeting.
Okay, good. So that's planning board in an upcoming meeting, and be sure to include Sean in those meetings whenever we talk about it. I'm getting an echo.
That's the unicorn in the lake.
Okay, next on the agenda, if I can find the agenda again, here it is. I have to share my screen. Oh my God. I'll share my screen. Okay, next on the agenda, current planning board business, the Pines Residences and Apple Hill Estates, the famous Lubarsky projects. Since the last meeting, the ZBA has denied those 40B applications, and they're in the process of writing their denial letter to Mass Housing. That's all I know at this point. Does anyone have anything to add to that? Okay. Reorganization and discussion of transition. This is reorganization of the planning board. As you all well know, I will be stepping down whenever a replacement is found for my position, and John will be stepping down at the end of this month. So there will be 2 positions open on planning board, and we have several applications. The applications will go before the select board once they're all in, and I'm not sure what the deadline for those applications are. I have to check with.
It has to be posted for at least 30 days.
Okay, so they have not been posted for 30 days yet, but probably for half that time, maybe 3 weeks. But in any case, we will need a new chair of the planning board, and the chair should be, one of the existing members now. We wouldn't want to put a complete new member in his chair. So I would be happy to step aside as chair if someone would like to take over, and I'll continue to come to meetings until I'm replaced, and probably after that as well, just out of interest. Can I have a nomination for a new chair for the planning board?
can I nominate Chris Owen?
Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that.
Is there any discussion?
You want a lame duck vote?
Yes, yes, you're still on the board. You're not off yet.
Yeah. Okay. So, no, I don't have any further discussion other than I think that's a good idea.
Good, because we do need a new leader for sure. And I think Chris would do a good job. He would run a very tight ship at the meetings. We know that from past experience, which is a good thing. If there's no discussion, let's take a vote. Do we have a vote for Chris Owen as the next chair of the planning board? Will?
Aye.
Addie?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Oh, Chris, you get to vote?
I will abstain.
Okay, and I'm an aye. So, Chris, you are the next chair of the planning board, and I would be happy to download all my files anytime you want them.
Well, I'd like to first say thank you. I hope I do as good of a job as Marion and John. And sometime between now and the next meeting, Marion, I would like to sit down with you and go over some things.
That would be great. And John, if you have time to sit in on that, that would be good too, because I looked at the knee of John. So,
But then you'll have a quorum.
oh, that's right. Okay,
Oh,
all right.
Eddie, may I owe you for a lot of things, but I really owe you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't gonna let it happen, so don't worry about it.
Although if you wait till August 1st, or what's your last day, John?
Yeah,
August 1st.
Yeah, then that's not a quorum, right?
yeah, you're right. Good point.
Oh, that's true, but we don't want to wait till August 1st. I'm happy to pass the baton to Chris. But Chris, yes, just let me know when you're free and we'll get together.
Yeah, email me a few dates. Monday afternoons are typically good. Most Fridays are typically good. So,
Okay, good to know. Okay, well, thank you, Chris.
thank you.
Okay, other business. Do we have citizen comments?
Actually, I think you're no longer the chair.
Oh, did it happen just right then? I thought it was for the next meeting. Oh, okay, well, whatever. Take it away, Chris.
Take it away. Well, I don't want any citizens' comments, so do we have any reports with meetings with other boards?
No, now that the ZBA has gone into their deliberation stage, I think they're almost finished with their deliberation stage on all the 40Bs that we have on the docket right now. So.
Okay, so there's no reports. Is there a town planner report?
Not really. The only things I have are what I sent in the email that Meadowbrook Commons has submitted their application.
Well, they have. When are we going to be able to see it?
Oh, I'm sorry. They have not submitted it yet. They are planning to submit it. They had said this week, and I suggested that they could file it with town clerk this week if they want, or they could wait till next week when I'm back. But so it is imminent, but it has not been filed yet.
Okay. I look forward to that. I mean, would this be a good time to bring up that road that goes along the back side of Meadowbrook Commons?
Can I just ask for a clarification quickly?
Yes.
What is Meadowbrook Commons planning to submit their application for? What is the procedure that they need approval? Planning board
Special
approval?
permit. Special permit for an EA age-restricted development.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they got a preliminary plan approved back in 2017. So it's been kind of just on hold ever since then, while Coolidge Commons was being developed and while the negotiations with Natick and Framingham for water and sewer were underway. And I think we can surmise from the fact that they're now putting in a definitive plan application with a special permit application that the Natick Water and the Framingham Water and Natick Sewer are pretty likely to be approved. I don't have any inside information on that, but
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Marion, you were going on to the road, the
Right.
trail access.
yeah, the Meadowbrook Commons has a road that was originally going from Gray Road all the way up the back of Meadowbrook Commons to Peters Hill Reservation and the power lines, which was meant to be their access to the trail system of the town, because there is very little pedestrian access in and out of either of those. I am hoping that right now it's sort of a Jeep trail that goes up there. It's at the back end of the Meadowbrook Commons property. It is in an area where they don't plant any houses. It goes through woods at the back border of their property and into their 25% open space area, which is up behind Coolidge Crossing. I probably should have a map to show you this. But that, before we get into the hearings, that is a route that it would be very, very nice to have a publicly accessible route from Meadowbrook Road up to Peters Hill. So it would also link the aqueduct potentially to Laurel Farms. And the whole Meadowbrook the subdivision that's in there now, the Meadowbrook Road neighborhood, would have access to Laurel Farms through a trail like that. The trail, it already exists. In fact, it's a Jeep road almost all the way. But as of now, there would be no public access. As of now, as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Gino, that trail or road was presumed to be just for the residents of the developments. Is that correct?
I don't know that it's ever gotten that far in discussion to that level of specificity, but there was always the intent to connect to the Peters Hill Trail. So I don't think it was intended just to be for the residents. I could be wrong.
I'm mentioning it just because it is a way to make the aqueduct a walking route in Sherborn all the way to Natick. And I just want to I'm bringing it up now so it doesn't fall off the radar screen. When we do see that definitive plan, that's something, and the special permit. Since it is a special permit, now's the time to make sure that that is a publicly accessible trail. Just putting it out there. Okay. How about the town planner report? Do you have anything for us, Gino?
Nothing further.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me. That was kind of a messy negotiation tonight, but we got through it in spite of me. Anyway, yeah, thank you all. And Chris, here's the gavel.
Motion to adjourn.
Gavel virtually to you.
Second.
Marion, you did a fantastic job today and in all your previous meetings. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate Chris's willingness to take over. And Chris, thank you. I'll let you close the meeting, Chris.
Just a roll call vote on adjourning. So Addie May.
Aye.
Will.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And Marion.
Aye.
Have a great rest of the week, everybody.
Okay.
You
see
too.
in 2 weeks.
Good night, everyone.